Hello and welcome to the history of movie theaters for New Orleans for 1940 to 1959. 1940. United Theaters opens the Happyland Theater on March 24th. United Theaters opens the Drive-In Theater opens on May 28th. The Algie Theater is opened by United Theaters on October 22nd. Joy's Theaters opens the Rio Theater. The Jeff Theater in Shrewsbury opens. United Theaters closes the Piety Theater. 1941. The NOLA Theater opens on September 24th. The Avenue Theater opens. The Best and Casino Theaters closes. 1942. The Lakeview Theater opened on January 28th. The Cinema opens on February 22nd. The Beacon Theater is opened by United Theaters on April 18th. The Grand Theater opened on October 7th by United Theaters. 1943. The Lafayette Theater closes. 1944. The Arcade Theater closes. 1945. The Fox Theater opened on June 19th. The Star Theater opens. The Ritz Theater in Hammond is open for Afro-Americans. 1946. Lazarus takes over these theaters. The Delta Theater opens on January 25th. The Gallo Theater opens on June 8th. The Joy Theater is renamed Pix on August 31st after the new Joy Theater is being built downtown. The Drive-In Theater closes. 1947. The Joy Theater opens on February 7th as the flagship for the Joy Theaters chain. The Aero Theater opens in Jefferson on April 18th. The Arabi Theater in Arabi opens on August 26th. The Star Theater closes. 1948. The Drive-In opens on May 5, 1948 in Jefferson. The Aaron Theater in Metairie opens on December 12th. 1949. The Pit Theater opens on March 23rd. The St. Bernard Drive-In opens in Arabi on July 1st. The Abalon Theater is opened in Algiers on December 14th. The Bijou Theater is closed by United Theatres. 1950. The Airline Drive-In in Metairie opens on January 25th. The Patio Theater in Metairie opens on January 26th. The Crescent Drive-In in Kenner opens on July 27th. The Old Star Theater reopens as the Civic Theater on October 13th. The Tiger Theater opens on November 11th. The Algiers Drive-In opens. The Carver Theater opens. The Joy Theater in Kenner opens. The Ashton and Rio Theaters closes. 1951. The Skyview Drive-In opens on March 9th. These theaters closed in 1951. 1952. The Metairie and Town Theaters closed in 1952. 1953. The Old Strand is reopened by Joy Theaters as the Panorama on April 14th with a larger widescreen. The Do Drive-In in Metairie opens on October 10th with 2 screens. The Gretna Green Drive-In opens. The Law Place Drive-In opens. The Algae and the Cinema Theaters closes in 1953. 1955. The Do Cinema in Metairie opens on March 4th on the grounds of the Do Drive-In on March 4th. It closed later in the year. The Crescent Drive-In in Kenner is renamed on March 24th as the Kenner Drive-In. The Drive-In is renamed the Jefferson Drive-In. These theaters closed in 1955. 1956. These theaters closed in 1956. 1957. These theaters closed in 1957. 1958. The Booker T Theater opens or started to place ads in the newspaper. These theaters closed in 1958. 1959. The Booker T Theater closes. Thanks for watching and remember to like and subscribe.